In July 2022, I read 10 books total, 6 in English and 4 in Finnish. I don't think I've ever read this many books in English in a month, like ever. So, let me walk you through what I actually read. Number 1. Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I went into this book blind and thought it would be some kind of prose poetry, which it isn't. Nayna Florence recommended this one. It's a collection of 4 short stories taking place in this cafe where you can travel back in time. I wish there was a Finnish translation. I feel like that would have given better justice to all the nuances in my case. There was one particularly great piece of dialogue, and I'll read it to you. So, I'm just thinking. Yes? It doesn't change the present, right? That's right. But what about the things that happen later? I'm not sure what you're saying. From now on, Fumika chose her words. From now on, what about the future? Kazu looked straight at Fumiko. Well, as the future hasn't happened yet, I guess that's up to you. Number 2. Love and War by John and Stasi Eldredge. I reread this book over the spring and summer. It was my Sunday book, and I finished it this month. I already talked about this one on my 10 favorite books video, and it's the best marriage book I know, and I feel like it gives you different perspective each time you read it, depending on the situation you are in. I love the Eldredge's point of view to Christianity today. It's very fresh and focuses on the human heart. John Eldredge released a new book this month. It's called Resilient, and I'm planning on ordering it for September. There's also a new Finnish translation coming for All Things New, which I'll probably read next. Number 3. Malibu Rising by Jenkins Reid. I was so happy with the Finnish translation and the book overall. I have immensely enjoyed Daisy Jones and the Six, and also The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and the crossover of these characters was so much fun. Jenkins Reid truly has a talent to write the story so believable you have no problem believing that it could have happened, and that very thing is one of my must-haves to a great book, whether it's fantasy or, in this case, semi-historical fiction. My one pet peeve about Malibu Rising was that I kept anticipating a bigger catastrophe in the end, which I'm glad didn't happen, but I would have hoped for a slightly calmer tone in the epilogue, and with the part, this would be the last time they would surf all together. Anyway, I have reserved everything possible from TGR from my local library, and I'm happy to announce that I'm on the spot 33 in the queue before Carrie Soto is Back has even released. Number 4. The Defining Decade by Meg Jay. This book was recommended by both Nayna Florence and Rachel Catherine. I'm still not quite sure if I found this useful or not. The book was divided into work, love, and brain and the body sections, and I feel like many of the points didn't exactly apply to my current situation. But then again, the book gave me a gentle push to pursue this YouTube channel and reminded me that the 20s is the best time to work on your marriage and relationships, go to psychotherapy, etc. I also related to the statement that many people don't consider 20-somethings as real adults, and owning your lifestyle and future plans might help with that, at least help you consider yourself as a real adult. Number 5. Parisuhteen tunnelukot by Kimmo Takanen. This is a Finnish psychology relationship book that my husband and I got as a wedding gift some years back, called something like Emotional Shame Locks in Relationships. Kimmo Takanen is a shame psychotherapy coach, and his books have been kind of a big phenomena here in Finland during the last couple of years, and I think and hope that they have helped many people. In this book, there's talk about shame locks in general and how they are being born in childhood and control our ways to live, even in adulthood, when their survival tools are no longer needed. There's 18 different of these shame locks. Everybody has these kind of emotional locks, and it's really helpful to at least be aware of them. Number 6. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Recommendation once more from Rachel Catherine. I've been loving her booktube lately. I don't think I've ever read YA fiction before, only some children's fiction books when I was a kid, and then Harry Potter's, of course. I found the book's world captivating, but still wasn't the biggest fan of The Cruel Prince. It might be to do with the English language, which isn't my first language, and in a fantasy setting you miss a lot of weird words which are unfamiliar to you. This is the first book of the trilogy where a mortal girl is kidnapped to live in this fairy world, and then she struggles to find her way to fit in. Might also be that these kind of themes are related better if you are a teenager. Not to say I didn't enjoy my stay at the fairy world, because I still did. It was a great summer read because it took me back to those summer holidays as a kid when I read those kids' fantasy books. Number 7. Anatomy, a Love Story by Nayna Florence. This is a Reid's Book Club YA pick from this spring, I think, and it takes place in Edinburgh during 19th century and tells a story of a girl who wants to be a surgeon. As I have a sweet spot for Edinburgh in my heart, I simply had to read Anatomy. I did enjoy the book, but not that much that I wouldn't change a thing. The believableness I talked about before didn't apply to this one as much I was hoping for, and the book kind of slided to more of a fantasy end, which was a bit confusing. I was also hoping for more details about the Edinburgh city. I think the cover might be the most beautiful I've ever seen. Number 8. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This was my second time reading this book, and I loved it so much more than the first time. I guess the reason was because during the first read I was so antsy to know the murder story's reveal that I kind of ran through the book, and it certainly did not do justice to the beautiful writing. I'm really glad with the Finnish translation, but I might read this one in English at some point as well, mainly because I'd like to know how the dialogue is written in the southern accent. I also might end up purchasing the Finnish one and adding it to my minimalist book collection. I'm also dying to see the movie, but it doesn't premiere here in Finland until September 2nd. Number 9. In Love, a memoir of love and loss by Amy Bloom. I got this book from the library when it was recommended by author Christy Tate, and again went in completely blind. This is a memoir about Amy Bloom's husband's Alzheimer's disease and their decision for euthanasia. As everyone knows, it's a complex moral question, and I might not have chosen this one if I did know what it was about. It was still written in a fluent and kind of beautiful way, which I enjoyed, and it was really thought-provoking, at least, which I guess is often a good thing when it comes to art. And lastly, number 10, The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. Another Reese's Book Club pick. I'm a huge recommendation reader and I love it. The Last Thing He Told Me is a mystery where the protagonist's husband goes missing and she tries to find out why he chose to do so. I liked this book so much. It isn't violent, but you still get to enjoy the mystery element and try to guess what has happened. I also loved that the story took place in San Francisco and Austin, which were new settings for me. There's not too much to say about this one without spoiling, so I won't talk longer. Except that the end line was so freaking good, I had goosebumps while reading it.